Well, hello, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to Uncivil Law. Once again, for the Karen retrial, we begin with the power walk from everyone entering into the courtroom. So let's go ahead and just get started with power walk time. Power walk, power walk. All right, and then we go back to Spinny Fan. Spinny Fan for the interior of the courtroom. Good morning and welcome back to Karen retrial on this beautiful April the 24th. Thank you all for joining me. I believe we're on day 3 now. I think it's hard to keep track of these things. You know, it's going to be very hard to keep track of these things as time goes on. We start, if it's day 3-ish, we're in a vague ballpark. Then I'll start to forget what day of the week it is. Then probably what month it is, possibly what year it is by the end of this thing. Because that's how live trials go after a while. The days all sort of bleed together into one. And then you're like, where am I? Who am I? Where am I? House long. House long. And it all just bleeds into an amalgamation. Yes, it's exciting and fun. Anyways, we tune into Spinny Fan because Spinny Fan, of course, is where it's at. Let's give a recap of how we're doing so far, at least in my humble opinion. So far, at least in my humble opinion, the prosecutor is doing very well in the presentation of evidence. I know that there is a general view that that is not true, but that's okay. I'm here to provide a different perspective for whatever value it is. I think, at least in some respects, people are forgetting to forget, because they forget that the jury is only supposed to know what they hear. And I think to some degree, people who are assessing these things are forgetting things because they're like, I know too many things. I know these witnesses are lying. Like you might know the witnesses are lying, but the jury can only assess based on what they know. And so I'm trying to skew accordingly. And, you know, there are inconsistencies and problems, but how big are those problems and how big are those inconsistencies is, of course, a matter of judgment, as it is to the jury, right? And, you know, you can just sort of paraphrase the instruction the judge will give at the end. You know, it's up to you, the members of the jury, to determine issues like credibility, reliability, the ability of the witness to perceive things, their memory, their honesty, their truthfulness, their, you know, so forth and so on. It's up to you to determine these things. And because if you determine that they're lying in one thing, you can, but do not need to conclude they are lying in other things. And if they are inaccurate about something, you can, but need not conclude they're inaccurate about other things, right? It's up to you, the members of the jury, to determine how much weight to give these witnesses, which is not necessarily a binary either. Right? So you can think that they're lying a little bit and it's not that big a deal. You can think they're lying a medium amount. You can think it's sort of a big deal. You can think that they're lying about one thing and therefore they're just a liar. You can think that they're not reliable about something. It's not that big a deal. You can think they're not reliable about something and therefore it's an incredible deal. It's sort of up to you to determine how much weight to give it in the end for each witness. Right? And, you know, so you need to factor those in things accordingly. And as to that, we will never agree because each person is going to assess it independently. Of course they are, right? Each person is going to look at it and try to determine for themselves how much it matters, how big a deal it is, how inconsistent is it? How much does the inconsistency matter? How much does that matter as to their memory, their reliability, their trustworthiness, and so forth and so on? And different people are going to inevitably assess those things differently. We will never agree. It is hopeless. It is hopeless because we all judge these things differently based on our own priors, our own beliefs. We're willing to excuse more from a friend than a stranger, more from a stranger than an enemy. and so forth and so on. Like this is impossible. This is impossible. But I'm trying to keep this as neutral as I can, which is probably a fool's errand in and of itself, but trying to keep this as neutral as I can. And so like for me, please don't attack me and pillage me. I'm not the bad guy, I swear. For me, I don't find the inconsistencies, lack of memory problems, and so forth and so on to be particularly problematic when it comes to credibility, truthfulness, or otherwise as it relates to the prosecution witnesses. I find so far, at least in my humble opinion, they've come off as essentially trustworthy, essentially reliable, and perhaps with some their inconsistencies and problems, at least to me, are more akin to the human condition rather than a character flaw, right? And that's also like part of the fundamental attribution error, like the biggest fallacy ever. The biggest fallacy ever is the fundamental attribution error. When you do something, it's character. When I do something, it's circumstance, right? We do this all the time. It's people's favorite logical fallacy, the fundamental attribution error, right? You did those things because you're a bad person, but when I did those things, it's because of the circumstances. I'm not a bad person. It was the circumstances. We're much more willing to forgive ourselves than other people, and so forth and so on, right? So like all these things are real, and trying to assess this in anything approaching a neutral way is difficult. But for me, at least, I found the witnesses to be substantially, let's say substantially credible, substantially reliable, substantially trustworthy, and the problems to be of not significant magnitude. And also, I felt that the defense lawyer, Mr. Jackson, especially on day one, much less so yesterday, thank God, but especially on day one, his cross was way too aggressive. He came off as a bully. There was way too little juice for way too much squeeze. He didn't get what he needed, and he was like just fighting with the witness, and it was a bad look. Yesterday, a little bit of that, but less so, thank God. And then he didn't cross the grieving mother, which was the best decision he made yet. Thank God he didn't cross the grieving mother. Holy shit. If he had crossed the grieving mother, we could have just packed this in, boys. We could have packed it in like, well, the trial's over. She's guilty. So, let's watch something else for 6 weeks. Holy shit. But fortunately, that didn't happen. And so we still can have trial. I'm excited about this, and you are too. So, yeah, but that's my assessment, and different people will inevitably assess things differently about how they weigh different things. Like these are the elements that are in play. And then how much weight do you give them is going to be, there's really no sort of objective way to weigh it, right? The closest you can come to objective in this is be like, here are the factors, right? Here are the factors is as objective as you can get. And then how much do you weigh those factors? I don't know if there's really any objective way to do it after that. After that, it's subjective. So I'm like, okay, here are all the factors you should consider. That's about as objective as it gets. And then after that, it's like, well, here's where I go from there. And some of you guys are like, I disagree. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know really what to do about that. Because I can't really tell you you're wrong. I can tell you, I suppose if you wildly weighed it wrong, or if you wildly weighed it substantially different from me, I might disagree with you and you're wrong. But if it's like a matter of degrees, and those degrees, incidentally, can change the outcome fairly substantially. You could disagree with me in a very reasonable way that would produce a different outcome. So you could very reasonably rescore this or reweigh things in a way that would perhaps not produce the strength of the case that I did. So you could wind up, if we were trying to score this in terms of weight, right? Where are we right now in terms of things? Like if we're going to say, okay, out of 100%, right? Is the prosecution 100% and the defense is 0? No, that'd be absurd. Is the defense 100% and the prosecution 0? No, that'd be absurd. Okay, so what is the right balance here? On balance, like how much of this is the prosecution in their favor? It's like, that's a difficult question to answer. 70%? Question mark? 75%? Question mark? right? As the prosecution, 70 or 75% is the prosecutor, 25% is the defense. But you could very reasonably reweigh these things and rescore these things, I think, and probably get to like 60-40 the other way. So there's a lot of variability, not for at least the reasons that we're very early in the game, and you have to, the zone of uncertainty is a lot. So the zone of uncertainty, the fog of uncertainty is doing a lot for you here. So that also is a huge factor. So you could, if I said 70-30 in favor of the prosecution, and you said, no, I think it's 60-40 in favor of the defense. I'm like, now I can kind of see how you got there, right? Even if I sort of disagree with the number. If we were much wider than that, I might be more vociferous, but there's a lot of latitude here because we're all weighing things. And there is a non-trivial factor of, how much do you like vanilla versus how much do you like chocolate? How much do you like your coffee with a dark roast or do you like your coffee with a light roast? Do you prefer milk chocolate or dark chocolate? Do you like strawberries or blueberries? Right? These matters of taste are a non-trivial factor in this equation. But that's how I assess things at the moment. Do we know if Karen's imitation of John's mom is hearsay? No, the judge is supposed to make a ruling this morning relating to that. All right, good morning. Let's see where you are in chat right now. Thank you for the 210 of you that are joining me so far. Top of the morning to you. We need a blatant lie detector. Yeah, I mean, I think people use the word lie a little too frequently, incidentally, a little too freely. Like, did Brennan lie in his opening? I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure he lied. He very carefully phrased things in a way to favor his case. But did he actually lie? I don't know that he lied. I mean, we could go by line and determine, did he actually lie in the opening? But people were like, he was lying in his opening. I'm like, I'm not sure he technically was. But, you know, whether, and also what the evidence will or will not show relating to that, who can say? But he thinks he can color the evidence that far. Thank you for saying you liked my shirt. Thank you very much. How long to Sandy? That's a really good question, Tony. I don't know the answer to that question. I thought Brennan's redirect for Kerry was terrible. I don't strongly remember, but sure, that's fair. I'm that's fine. I don't remember. I was losing my sanity a little bit at some points. Also yesterday, not for nothing, I had basically a complete anxiety panic attack yesterday afternoon. I had problems with my edit, and I was actually having a full-blown panic attack yesterday. Fortunately, one of our moderators was able to save me and help me out, but I was having a full goddamn blown panic attack. So I have to I'm still calming down from yesterday. So yeah. Is the hat beaver? You bet your ass it is. Oh, I also need to disable ads. I need to remember to do it every day manually. So thank you for reminding me. All right, I've disabled ads. So I don't want live stream ads. I just have to remember to actually disable it by hand every single time. So sorry about that. But yeah, there should be no live stream ads. I can't guarantee it, but I've disabled it on my end. So sorry about live stream ads. Please remember me to remind me to do that every day. I've forgotten to do it every day so far because you have to do it every single day. Every single time I have to manually disable it. And also, we still have the counter. We are at 173 on the counter because I believe the witness is coming back. So, yeah, we do have to still deal with the counter. The counter is incredibly, incredibly real. Okay, good morning. Also today, we are trying multi-streaming. So today, at least hypothetically, we are simultaneously streaming on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitch. Yeah. And we're trying to enable live streaming on TikTok again. I got disabled for a copyright violation on a previous live stream, so I've reapplied for live streaming on TikTok. But we're trying simulcasting it, and we'll see how that goes. But of course, YouTube is principally where it's at. Yeah, our restream bot is working. That's nice. Okay, I'm awake. Sort of. Thanks. Breathe, Kurt, breathe, Kurt, breathe. All right. I am not responsible for ear bleeding. Uncivil law accepts no liability for ear bleeding noises. But at least I have limited the volume of the ear bleeding. I have limited the volume so it's no more than -18. So it may be annoying, but it won't harm your hearing. Because I thought to limit it, because I'm a nice uncivil. Be thankful that I have a limiter on my end so that it won't harm your hearing. Uncivil cares. It may sound like louder, but it's not actually louder, right? It's like, yeah, the perception of sound, but the actual sound volume is not that high. So I could turn it up and then you could see what it really is in the real world. Would you like me to turn off the limiter? You're like, it's pretty loud. It's like, would you like me to turn off the limiter and you can see how loud it really is? Would you like me to do that? Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, we've got at least one commenter on Twitter or Twitch. We got some Twitch, we got some X, we got all the things. All that good stuff, man. All right, back to Spinny Fan. Spinny Fan, endlessly entertaining. Spinny Fan, spins for all. Spinny Fan, Spins for justice. Spinny Fan is ever reliable. Spinny Fan is our friend. We need Spinny. I think we need Spinny Fan merch. We have enough courtrooms with enough fans. We need fan merch. We can label OnlyFans with pictures of, yeah, I like this plan actually. We could do fans from various courtrooms. This is the best plan I've ever had. Okay, this is the merch we need. We need to go back to previous streams. We need to find pictures of various fans. We need to do like an array of fans from various courtrooms. And then we just need to put the OnlyFans logo on it, and it needs to be on a glass. Let's get that merch developed. I'd like 6 fans from 6 popular trials. I'd like them in an array, or maybe we can do 8. If you can find 8, we can do them in a Brady Bunch style, and we can put like the OnlyFans logo in the middle, and that could be the logo. I like this plan. We need 8 fans from 8 popular court cases, and in a Brady Bunch array, and then in the center an OnlyFans logo, or maybe not the OnlyFans logo, but a logo that looks a lot like it, because I don't want to get in trouble for trademark infringement. So we'll take the OnlyFans logo and put it through Midjourney or something, so we get something that looks very similar, but that is legally distinct, and that can be some merch. This is a good plan. I like this plan. I want my OnlyFans cop. Someone get on it. Can we make the uncivil law logo kind of look like the OnlyFans logo? Or yeah, we could use the uncivil law logo, and then we could write OnlyFans on it in a font that looks similar to the OnlyFans logo, right? We could be uncivil law with the same color, right, as OnlyFans in a similar font, and that could be good. I'm doing all the design ideas right now.
Please proceed. Court is in session. 22117 Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, so I was told counsel wanted to see me.
Good morning, Your Honor. Yes,
Good morning.
I just have one brief issue I want to raise for the court. I wanted to confirm whether experts in this case are permitted to watch testimony in order to prepare for rebuttal. We had asked for that.
For rebuttal, like post?
Responding.
For responding, okay.
In our case, in chief, for both sides.
Okay. What's your position? Ms. Little, you want to?
Yes, we would.
All right. Mr. Brennan, is there any reason not to?
I need to give it some thought. I'm not willing to agree. I'll abide by whatever the court thinks is fair.
So why don't you think about it? We'll address it later today. Okay, there's no expert testimony today, right?
It's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sure. Is that it? Ready to bring the jury in?
That's all.
You wanted a ruling on the clip from yesterday?
I did.
All right, you can play it.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a quick break.
Yeah, unsurprising she's going to allow the clip, but I don't think he made quite the right argument. He didn't say the magic word hearsay. Now, hearsay, there's like 18 different exceptions to hearsay, so it probably could have been brought in anyway, but he didn't actually say the word hearsay at any point. I was screaming it, hearsay, 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 right? But he kept alluding to it, but he didn't actually say it. It's like, oh, Karen Reed is just reiterating what someone else said. Just say the word. There's a word for it. It's called hearsay. But yes, we're gonna get our clip in. We're gonna get our clip in. Yeah. So fair, you know, partially defense fault on that one. Partially defense fault because they didn't actually say the word. They didn't say it. Incidentally, by the way, as long as we want to learn something of legal value here, of course, there are multiple levels of hearsay. That's the reason I keep saying it, right? It's Karen Reed saying it. So that's a party admission. That gets you past one level of hearsay, right? Karen Reed saying things is a hearsay exception. Under the federal rules, it's actually technically not hearsay at all, which makes things even more fun, right? So Karen Reed, the fact that Karen Reed is saying it is either a hearsay exception or technically not hearsay at all, depending on whether it's state law or federal law. Okay, but there's a second layer of hearsay because Karen Reed said, you know, she leaned over the counter and she said to me blank. So now it's not her saying it. She's relaying what someone else said. Okay, so now that's a second level of hearsay. And so you need a hearsay exception to get past that. And there's a lot of potential answers here, by the way. It goes to the effect on the listener. Or some other bullshit. It goes to consciousness of guilt, right? There's potential arguments against, but you still have to make the argument to get past the second level of hearsay. But he never actually said the word hearsay, and I was frustrated. But that's okay. Could the fact they didn't say hearsay be ineffective assistance of counsel? Hell no. Ineffective assistance of counsel requires a shit ton more than I just forgot the magic word at one point. Ineffective assistance of counsel, you have to go really, really far to be ineffective assistance of counsel. There is no goddamn way that these people are going to be ruled to be ineffective. I don't care if they fall asleep at the trial and show up drunk. And we know that because we've seen that in previous cases that that's not necessarily effective. Falling asleep and at trial and or being drunk at trial is not necessarily ineffective. There is no goddamn way the Court of Appeals would ever rule that this defense was ineffective. Just put it out of your mind, short of them standing up and saying, yes, our client did it. She is totes guilty. Find her guilty, ladies and gentlemen. Short of them forgetting what side they're on, there's no way this is going to be ineffective assistance of counsel. So just forget it.
Beverly Canoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, now holding in Dedham within and Father County in Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated. 22-117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, good morning again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we were here yesterday? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here yesterday? No. Everyone said no or shook their heads. Thank you very much. Can we bring Mr. Whitley back in, please?
Oh, God. He's coming back. All right, guys.
Christina, you can step up to the podium.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Sir, I'll remind you, you're still under oath. Thank you. Can I proceed?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley, yesterday you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was
I
reluctant.
didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
You were under oath then, as you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
You swore to tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today?
Your memory in April of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good as it is today.
Okay, so you want to add the as it is today, despite the fact that you weren't asked that question. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question, right?
I do.
And your answer was, so we, after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying to. She didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir. Okay. To the extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers.
So
okay?
no instructions to the witness, Mr. Yannetti.
May
Ask a
the witness be
question.
instructed to answer the question yes or no if it calls for a yes or no question. Answer.
Answer the question that's asked of you, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask a question.
You testified yesterday that she didn't want to give a urine sample without saying it was your belief that she didn't want to give one, correct?
Correct.
In any case, were you aware that when she was asked to give a urine sample, that Ms. Reed had gotten her period and did not have a tampon?
I was aware she was on her period, yes.
You're also aware that when somebody...
How is... Okay, I pray that her being on her period somehow becomes relevant to this, because wow, I don't. All right, how is that a factor in this equation?
Is brought to the hospital for a Section 12. They have no privacy, isn't that right?
They have medical privacy. Either the tech or the nurse would be with the patient at all times.
Okay. With them at all times, observing them at all times, correct?
So they wouldn't be, she wasn't in like a hallway open to the public.
Understood, sir, but she also, when I said privacy, what I was asking is, she was not allowed to go to the bathroom alone to give a urine sample, correct?
She was a psychiatric patient.
Right. So she would have to use the bathroom in front of hospital personnel or some medical personnel with people watching her while she was on her period with no tampon, correct?
I would understand that to be true.
All right. And you're aware that she did cooperate and eventually give a blood sample as well, correct?
I'm not aware of a blood sample, but urine sample, yes.
She did give the urine sample.
Correct.
Now, in your testimony, yes, of what Karen Reed may have asked you about John surviving in the snow with light clothing. Remember those questions? John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions?
I remember asking about not having a jacket, correct?
Now, starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with the hypothermia situation, and your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right, and direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
Let's start with the first time you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, What, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer, in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not asked
I'm
to
not
qualify.
asking for an explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right, so he was answering you, Mr.
My
Yannetti.
question called for a yes or no answer. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you attribute the words many hours in the snow to Ms. Reed, yes or no?
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did at that.
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
I object.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 did you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief and give generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were back at the
Let me try this again,
So,
sir. because
Mr. Yannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a date
Of course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay, before the grand jury. My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay? Nowhere in your answer in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay. The next time you testified under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again, no mention of many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year, Mr. Lally asked you, so firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was yes. She was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you mentioned the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
All right. And when you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you, before you left, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and you answered yes? You recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you, before you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and your answer was yes?
You're talking about Lee, I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital or when we left Fairview Road?
When you were at Fairview Road, leaving Fairview Road. We're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay? Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left. When we left
Well, before you left. He meant before you left the scene.
Okay,
When
no,
you
I'm
were-
just trying to clarify.
Again, the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not
So,
trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear. Now go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting outside in the snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer that you gave yesterday on direct examination?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said, supposedly, or asked supposedly, about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking.
Not my question.
I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
So
Was that-
just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try it.
Was that the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used the
I'm not
word
asking you
sitting?
to clarify anything. I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry. I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if he was being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking you about Ms. Reed's statements, sir. That's all I've been asking you about. Her
Okay.
statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed mentioned the words sitting outside?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just using. She might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Okay, so when you testified yesterday before this jury
Yes.
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate, correct?
It could have been a different word.
Okay, but you didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just left it as sitting outside, correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I said, sitting.
All right, so now we get from, the grand jury with many hours mentioned, to questions about many hours, to sitting outside, to let's talk about what you said on cross-examination.
I object.
Okay, the objection sustained.
Sure. On cross-examination, your words were, she said he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours, correct?
She had asked if he had been outside, if there was any chance he could be alive, even though he was outside without a jacket for many hours.
So it always was a question, correct?
It was a question.
She never said what you said on cross-examination yesterday, which was she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours. That was not a declarative statement by Ms. Reed, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Was that a declarative statement by Ms. Reed?
She asked if he could be alive without a jacket in the snow for many hours.
So, again, it was a question, sir.
She asked me, and we were just trying to give her hope in terms of telling stories of hypothermic patients that could survive outside in the snow.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, is there any redirect?
Briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive, a little argumentative.
When you were called to the grand jury, was the testimony as in-depth and as long as it is in front of this jury?
No, not even close.
When you're recounting your memories of what happened, do you memorize word for word what you said in the past?
Objection.
As to that form, it's sustained.
When you're recounting the past, do you record your statements personally?
Objection.
I'm going to let that one. Do you record your statement?
No.
Next question.
When you testified in the grand jury, page 90, line 15, and you said the defendant told you, I'm upset if he dies, I want to die. And then you later testify last year, and you said, if my husband dies, I want to die. Do you notice the little differences between those phrases?
I do.
Is that you making up words?
No.
Is that you trying to help a case?
Objection.
As to form, that's sustained.
Are you inventing facts?
No.
Sir, when you were recounting what happened that day, are you using your best memory?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you were asked by the defendant, about how long, or someone out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, do you remember that conversation with her?
I do.
Where were you during that conversation?
We were in the back of the ambulance.
Do you remember it distinctly?
I remember it distinctly. She was looking at me.
When you tried to give her hope and comfort and you told her stories about other situations where people, maybe children, have fallen through the ice and had hypothermia, did you have that conversation with her in trying to comfort her?
I did.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Did you necessarily share those conversations with the grand jury?
I don't recall if I did or I didn't.
Did you ever write that in your report?
No.
Is it something you typically put everything in your report?
No, we do not write. Generally, we only
That's
write
dumb.
patient complaint, what happened, and what they did, not their opinions or anything like that to what's going on.
Do you have any interest in the outcome of this case?
I do not.
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Since March of
There's one.
2006, and an EMT since November of 2002.
Yep.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
You said that you live near Kerry Roberts?
I do.
You've been to a block party for the kids where you've brought the fire engine down?
I do.
I'm going to allow it.
When you're at that block party, do you ever step out and have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No.
I'm going to allow that.
No.
Put your career on the line?
Sustained.
No further questions.
Any follow-up, Mr. Yannetti? No, Your Honor. All right, fired by Whitley, you are all set.
All right, 183, I think is what we'll fit for the official count. We'll call it 183. All right, I'm switching feeds to Court TV. Hopefully, they will have less problems on their feed. We can only pray.
And have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No.
I'm going to allow that.
No.
Put your career on the line?
Sustained.
No further questions.
Any follow-up, Mr. Yannetti? No, Your Honor. All right, fired by Whitley, you are all set, sir.
Like to play clip 5, Your Honor?
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think it looks like he got hit by a car. It looks like he got hit by a car.
I mean,
All right, who's your next witness, Mr. Brennan?
Next witness is Jean DeMoulis.
yeah, what is that? I don't even know. I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
Do they have closed captioning also? Hopefully they do. But apparently we're doing some sidebar. Yeah, it's hearsay. The entire thing is just lean over the counter. She's just recounting what someone else said. It's hearsay. And I'm not even sure I see relevance, to be honest. I'm struggling to find relevance. So hearsay, not relevant, substantially more prejudicial and probative. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Yeah. On the plus side, it's a 2-second clip that is completely forgettable. So who cares, I guess, but still. Yeah. I'm not sure what the 2 to 3 second clip was supposed to do for the jury, but okay. The prosecutor just gets to sprinkle the clips in. Yes, that's basically the agreement. There's really no reason not to, because the only issue would be authentication, and there's really no point to bring some guy from, CBS or NBC or whatever to get on the stand to authenticate. It's kind of a waste of time. So yeah, they can play the clips without a witness on the stand.
Thank you.
So, I mean, fair.
You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case now guarantee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You can scooch in close to the microphone.
Where's my closed captions?
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jean Demulis. I am the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up if you would.
Where are my closed captions? God damn it, Court TV!
Looking for?
I believe it was January 28th, 27th, 28th of 2022.
Around that time?
Yes.
Did you allow access to the video system?
Yes.
Did you oversee that access to the video system?
Yes.
Was it a state police officer?
It was two state police detectives.
Do you remember their names?
I remember one of the detectives' names. I do not remember the other detective.
The one you remember, could you share the name?
It was Detective Buchnick, Yuri.
Detective Yuri Buchnick.
Yes.
At some point, was he allowed to download information from the surveillance system?
Yes.
Did you watch him do that?
Yes, I did.
At some point, have you been able to briefly look at some of that download?
Yes.
And does it appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the surveillance or the area of your bar?
Yes.
Move to introduce.
Okay, there's no objection, Ms. Giannetti?
There is no objection, Your Honor.
Is she here only for authentication? Because hopefully not.
Thank you.
But this relates to this relates to drinks consumed and so forth and so on. So let's watch this video.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you just some random shots from this video, but I want to know if you recognize it. Is this the inside of CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
I'm not asking if you have any particular knowledge or information about that. Not look like.
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what CF McCarthy's looks like?
Yes.
Has there been any substantive, significant changes to the inside of that establishment since this video was taken?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay.
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Lewis, you're all set.
Thank you very much.
That's weird. She was literally there just for authentication. I thought we weren't doing that. Because the other clips we brought in, I mean, that's literally what she's doing. It's just to authenticate the videotape. Okay, that's odd. So why are they doing authentication for some but not other portions of video? I don't know. It's weird. Okay, pressing on. All right.
Your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. Bridget Meehan.
Good morning. Good morning.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good morning. Good morning.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name's Bridget Meehan.
Where do you work?
I work at the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton.
The name maybe tells us a little bit about it, but could you just share a couple lines of what the Waterfall Bar and Grill is?
It's a small family-owned business in Canton. It's in a mixed condo complex.
Are you involved in the ownership of it?
Yes.
How long have you been involved with the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
We've been there approximately 10 years.
Do you help run the establishment?
Yes, I do.
I mean, to be honest, she didn't quite give the answer he was hoping for, to be honest, because like, what is your place? What do you do? Although it'd be really hilarious if you had a name that was completely nondescriptive. That kind of be fun. Yeah, my name's the Waterfall Bar and Grill. What do you do? We do taxes. We're an accounting firm. I mean, it could be. That'd just be fun, but perhaps not very good for the Yellow Pages. I don't know.
And you were running the establishment back on January 28, 2022? Yes. At some point, were you asked or visited to see if your establishment had video surveillance of the inside?
I was.
Does your establishment have video surveillance of the inside?
It does.
Do you have a camera and a server?
Do I have? Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you provide video surveillance to the Massachusetts State Police from that night, January 28, 2022?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to move this in as an exhibit, please.
Okay. Ms. Giannetti? Thank you.
Exhibit 22.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, we're going to show you just a brief clip. Okay, stop, please. Do you see that video?
I do.
Does that depict the inside of McCarthy's? No. I'm sorry, the Waterfall?
Yes.
I'm trying to switch establishments on you. Back on January 28, 2022, does that look the way it looked then?
Yes.
Has there been any significant changes inside since then?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. All right, Ms. Meehan, you
Thank you.
And I'll just that coming down.
Is my camera on?
All right, your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Commonwealth calls Mike Camerano.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Karen Right Eye Reed. I wonder if Karen does karaoke. That'd be good. Karen, you want to do some karaoke with me?
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Take the stand.
Good morning.
May I?
Please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. My name is Michael Camerano.
Mr. Camerano, can I ask how old you are? I'm sorry.
Spell your last name.
Camerano.
And so if you could either move the microphone down a little bit or speak up, or maybe a combination of both, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask you how old you are?
48,
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. We have 2 children.
How old are your children, sir?
My daughter is 17. My son is 14.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I met John for the first time at his sister's They had a benefit for his sister in 2000, I think 13. I met John there for the first time, and then years later, our kids got involved with sports together, and they became very close. As they became close, I became very close with John and his family.
Was your daughter close with John's niece?
Yes.
Was your son close with?
Yes.
Did you spend a lot of time together through sports and socially?
Yes, we did.
I want to take you forward to January 28th of 2022.
Okay.
Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Had you, without any discussion of what might have been said, did you have any discussions with John that day?
Yes.
Did you have a plan?
Yes, we were communicating.
At some point, did you decide that you were going to spend some time or go meet John?
Yes. That Friday, my daughter and his daughter, they got acceptance letters to school. So we wanted to get them together so they could enjoy the time together. And, just, go over like how it would be so much fun, something new, different. Yeah, so we were going to meet up after I got out of work.
Was your daughter planning to go to a new school?
Yes.
Where?
Bishop Fan.
And how about his niece?
Same.
They both got accepted to the same school?
They both got accepted to the same school.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
Did you have a plan to bring the children together so they could celebrate?
Yes, we did.
And then separately you were going to meet John and celebrate?
Correct.
Okay. Where did you drop your daughter off?
I dropped my daughter off at John. I went into John's. I was at the house with John and the girls, and we had a little celebration. Talked about how nice it's going to be, fun, change, different, meet new people.
And you celebrated at John's house before you went out?
Correct.
After the celebration with your children, did you and John leave?
Yes.
During that celebration, was there anybody there other than you, John, and your two daughters?
No. No. Karen was not there.
Was there anybody else there?
No, just the two girls, myself and John.
What was the weather like that night?
It was cold. It was not snowing yet.
Was there an expectation?
Yes, there's an expectation. Yes.
And what was that?
That there was going to be a big snowstorm coming in.
A storm was coming?
Yes.
When you left, did you leave in a separate car than John, or did you leave together?
No, we left together. John got in my car, and we were leaving. We were going to leave.
Where were the girls?
The girls were in the house, stayed in the house.
They were staying at John's house?
Yes, correct.
Where did you go?
We went to CF McCarthy's.
When you got there, did you know anybody who was there other than you and John?
At that time, no.
Did you spend time at CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
Were you drinking?
Yes.
Was John drinking?
Yes.
Alcohol?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
A couple hours.
While you were there, did anybody come and meet you that you knew?
Yes.
Who?
A friend, and then Karen came in.
The friend?
Yes.
What was the friend's name?
Kurt.
Hello.
And then,
It wasn't
how long
me.
after you first got there was it that the defendant arrived?
I would like to say within an hour, so not 100% sure.
You said back home it was a celebratory mood. Was it still a celebratory mood at McCarthy's?
Yes.
When the defendant arrived, did she spend time with you and John?
I've talked briefly to her, and her and John were mostly talking.
Okay. You didn't see any issues?
No.
It was a normal night?
Seemed to be, yes.
As far as you could see?
Yes.
And you saw John drinking?
Yes.
Did you see the defendant drinking?
I saw her with a glass, yes.
Did you leave at the same time that John left?
No, I did not.
When you left, Was John still at the establishment?
Yes,
When you left, was the defendant still with him?
yes.
Why did you leave?
I left because I got a phone call. My son was playing hockey in a backyard, and he got hit with a stick and lost his tooth.
Oh. Where did you go?
I went to my son's friend's house.
Do you know about what time that was when you went to see your son?
I would like to say 9:30, between 9:30 and 10.
You didn't go back to McCarthy's that night, did you?
No, I did not.
After you helped your son, where did you go next?
I went to pick up my daughter, Madeline,
Did you go?
at John's house.
Did you go in John's house?
No, I did not.
When you got to John's house, did your daughter come out?
No. We went to the side door
Okay.
and rang the doorbell.
And then what happened?
And then my daughter came to the door.
Where'd you go?
From there, we left and went home.
When you went home, had the weather changed at all?
It was cool. It might have been flurrying at that time.
No accumulation?
No.
You got home?
Yes.
Did you do anything significant when you got home?
Put the kids to bed, my son, and no, I went to bed.
What's the next thing you remember happening?
Waking up to, I missed some phone calls
Who were the missed phone calls from?
from my wife and Karen.
What did you do?
I called my wife.
After speaking to your wife, what did you do?
I got in my car and drove to John's house.
About what time was this?
In between maybe 5 and 6 a.m.
What was your mood at that point?
I was panicked
Why did you go to John's house?
because I went to get Kaylee.
Did you know if she was alone?
Yes,
How long did it take you to get to John's house?
maybe 5-7 minutes.
When you get to John's house, what do you see?
I pull in the driveway. I see that the garage door is open. I go in through the garage door. I don't know if Kaylee was standing there, if the door, she came out the door, and I asked her, if she needed anything, she could get in my car and stay warm.
When you first saw Kaylee, what did she look like?
She looked distraught.
Did you try to help her?
Well, I think I just said everything will be okay.
Did she come with you?
Yes,
Where are you going?
to my house.
So what happens?
So we go to my house, and my daughter's up, and the two girls they were hanging downstairs, just hanging out, just being kids. And then, I don't know, a couple hours later, maybe, Paul called me and asked me to bring Kaylee home.
Did you know anything at that point?
I did, yes.
You did or didn't?
At that point, I did when Paul had told me.
So what do you do?
Asked Madeline and Kaylee if I'd say, Madeline, we come for the ride. I don't say anything to Kaylee, and we get in the car, and I start heading back to John's house.
And you didn't say anything to Kaylee?
No, I didn't. I just said everything will be all right. She had a feeling.
Why do you say that?
She didn't want to go home.
So what happens next?
So I pull in the driveway, and I remember Paul and Papa standing. I think they were standing at the side door, and we just embraced.
Did you stay?
No, not long. No.
Did you go back?
I was to the house. I went back to my house.
Did you go back to John's house?
I did the next day, yes, I was there.
When you went back, were there people there?
Yes,
Many?
there was people coming and going.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Camerano.
Good morning.
This is quite painful for you to remember the events of January 28th, is it not?
Yes,
You were very close with your friend John O'Keefe, correct?
I was close with them, yes.
And you actually met Karen Reed through John, correct?
Correct.
After meeting Karen, you spent a good amount of time with both Karen and John, correct?
Correct.
As of January 28th of 2022, you had known Karen for maybe about a year or so?
Sounds correct.
And you'd see them especially on Fridays, correct?
Correct.
That would be sort of the day that you get together with both of them often?
Yes.
And of course, your children spent a lot of time with John and Karen, right?
Correct.
You entrusted both Karen and John with your kids.
Yes.
Sometimes your kids would even go on vacation with Karen and John, right?
They did go to the Cape, yes.
Sometimes you'd see Karen without John at your house or on a ball field.
Correct.
And your daughter in particular would sometimes spend time with just Karen without John, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter would sometimes go over to Karen's house in Mansfield when she lived there, correct?
Correct.
And obviously when your daughter would go to Karen's house in Mansfield, Karen would be the one in charge of caring for her, correct?
Correct.
And you were fine with that because you liked and you trusted Karen, right?
Correct.
And in your view, Karen was very good with kids, right?
Correct.
But you also had the opportunity to see Karen and John together, right?
Yes.
You saw how they interacted with each other over that year period that you knew Karen?
Yes.
You saw how they got along?
Yes.
And you never observed any arguments or bickering, correct?
I mean, they argued and bickered.
You had previously testified that you wouldn't even call it arguing, you just call it banter, right?
Yes, I mean, he would, he would get upset or like over if she bought expensive things for the kids.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. We will get to that. That would be the one thing that John would complain about. Karen buying very nice things for his
Keep
niece
under
and nephew,
control.
right?
Keep the cross under control. All right, this is better.
Or he'd complain if Karen was taking his niece and other girls to get their nails done, like extravagances like that.
Correct.
And one specific memory you have is when Karen bought his niece a very expensive sweater, right?
Correct.
And you recall John telling you that he wished that she hadn't done that because he considered that to be spoiling the girl, correct?
Yes.
But it was very clear to you from your observations that Karen really, really liked John. I'm sorry, John really, really liked Karen, right?
Sustained.
He certainly never told you or even suggested he was thinking about or planning to break up with Karen, right?
No.
Okay, so with regard to that Friday night, January 28th, sir, the plan was for you and John to go to McCarthy's to have some drinks because there was a storm coming in, correct? And because of the celebration of the girls getting into Bishop Fen?
Well, yeah, we were going out. It wasn't a continuation of the celebration of the girls. We were going out to have a few beers as guys.
Okay. And when you were leaving the house, John asked you to move your car, right?
Correct.
Where was your car when John asked you to move it that night?
Actually, I backed up my car. We were leaving the driveway, and John asked me to stop so he could move his car.
I see. And he wanted you to move your car because of the storm coming in, and he wanted Karen to be able to pull her car into the garage, right?
Correct.
And that was really thoughtful of him, wasn't it?
Yes, extremely.
And it showed you that he was being chivalrous toward Karen that night, right?
Yes.
He didn't want Karen to be out in the heavy snow later when she returned to his house during the expected blizzard, right?
Sustained.
You took from that there was an expectation that Karen would be coming back to his house, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no inkling that day that anything was wrong between Karen and John, correct?
No.
Everything seemed fine between the two of them, right?
Yes, he did mention though that night that he didn't understand why Karen had a plumber go to the house.
Because he had somebody that could have done that work instead of paying for the plumber, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
but in any case, the plan was for Karen to meet up with the two of you, right?
Better job on cross.
yes.
And she did show up to
Good job.
McCarthy's at about 8:30 p.m. or so?
Yes, I guess if that's the time.
And you saw an affection.
Sorry, what was the answer that you
If
said?
that was the time, I'm not sure about the timeline.
Okay. It was sometime after you had
Yes.
gotten there. Right.
Correct.
But you do remember when Karen arrived, there was an affectionate greeting between John and Karen, right?
Yes.
You saw them kiss, right?
Yes.
You saw John put his arm around Karen,
Correct.
and you saw that Karen sort of nestled into his embrace.
Correct.
And when she did that, that's when he kissed her, correct?
Yes,
And they seemed happy to see each other, did they not?
they did.
That night they were affectionate,
Yes.
laughing,
Yes.
happy,
Yes.
like a normal couple.
Yes.
No arguments.
No.
You witnessed no bickering, no tension, correct?
No.
And during the month before John's passing, that January of 2022, you observed their relationship in your presence to be normal, caring, and affectionate, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, guys, that was what you want in doo-doo and cross. That was a much more effective cross, right? When he didn't get quite the answer he wanted, he just very sort of softly repivoted, right? When he didn't get exactly what he wanted, he just re-asked the question in a slightly softer way. It wasn't immediately out of the gate hostile in your face, because hostility breeds hostility, right? It's like, if I'm hostile with you, you're hostile with me. You don't want to start super hostile. You might have to get towards hostile. That might be where you wind up, but that's not where you want to start. You don't want to start in a fight. You want to start just by leading the witness. You're literally allowed to lead. You literally just want to lead them where you want them to go. And if they didn't quite get where you want them to go, you just do a kind of soft redirect judo thing, right? That's what you want. That's what you want to do. And if you need to sort of move from there into more aggressive things, then maybe. But this was an outstanding cross. That was great. That's what I wish they'd been doing the whole time, rather than like dicking around and fighting and everything. Just like the soft judo, redirecting, literally re-leading. You didn't get quite exactly what you wanted, but that's okay. You just softly push them into a nice direction. You know, the carrot versus the stick, and so forth and so on. So if we could have more crosses like that, that would be great, man. Do more of that. That was a great cross. Good job. Thank God.
You were asked a number of questions about the relationship between John and Karen that night. Do you know what was going on behind closed doors other than what you saw?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
Do you know whether or not they texted each other that day?
No, that day, no.
Do you know whether or not there was any arguments that day?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Not to my, no, I don't know if they were, well, I don't know if they were arguing over the plumber situation. I
Do you
don't
know if there's any vulgarities that day?
No,
Do you know if there's any vulgarities that night?
no, not to my knowledge.
Do you know whether or not John was trying to end the relationship with Miss Reed?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
No,
Next question.
Do you know if there was any jealousy in that relationship?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I mean, I mean, Karen wouldn't let, I mean, they did everything together, a lot of things together, and I thought at times, yeah, you could see, you know, she didn't want other women around John. I don't know, not at that, but.
Thank you.
Any follow-up? All right, Mr. Camerano, you're all set, sir.
Much better. Good job.
I'll see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Yeah, that was much better, Cross. Good job of keeping it in control. Yeah. So if we could do more of that, that'd be fantastic. Just waiting around for things to happen. Waiting around for things to happen. We're doing a little waiting around song. How do I do this? I'm trying to figure out something. Give me a second. I'm just working on something. Give me a second. Aha. Excellent. Found the setting I needed. Took a second. Sorry. All right. Great. All right. All right. Where were we? How are you doing, chat? Just keeping on, keeping on. Do I think Karen Reed is guilty or not guilty? I think not guilty. I think the ARC experts are incredibly convincing that the physics are just impossible. It defies the laws of physics itself. I also find it extremely difficult, along with the defense. I find it extremely difficult to believe that this, 7,000-pound vehicle going at something like 20 to 25 miles an hour struck Mr. O'Keefe and apparently left no bruising. broken bones, torn ligaments, or anything else. That strikes me as truly amazing. I also find it very difficult to believe that the taillight shattered and then created the marks on the arm that we saw. And no DNA was found on any of the taillight fragments. So I have reasonable doubts.
Recall Nick Garino.
Okay.
You're recalling people already? You're already recalling witnesses? Really? Okay, all right.
Parliament, please.
So you can have a seat. I'll remind you you're still in your vote.
Or stand, however you're most comfortable today. Just do whatever you need to do, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone.
Sir, yesterday we talked about downloading phones and making what you called extractions.
Yes.
And from that data, you could create different types of reports.
So have Detective Garino say his name again, please.
I'm sorry. Again, for the record, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Garino, G-U-A-R-I-N-O.
Thank you.
Sir, you mentioned yesterday that you downloaded a number of phones, or you were involved in the process of downloading a number of phones.
That's correct.
You explained to us that after you have the data analyzed, you can pinpoint certain items that you may want to put in a document.
Yes, so the extractions into a program of our choosing, Cellbrite is the most commonly used, and then we can take call logs or text messages, any information that the investigator is looking for.
When you downloaded Mr. O'Keefe's phone and you downloaded the defendant's phone, did you try to create, or did you create a report through Cellbrite, the software, that would show you all of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs?
Yes, I did.
And when I use the term call logs, what does that mean?
The call logs are the calls that the phone receives.
How do you create a report from Cellbrite? Can you just walk us through that process briefly?
Yep, so in the program, you can go in and select the calls from it and export it into different formats, PDF, XML, HTML, or you can create a portable case and extract them all as a portable case that we would see on my computer.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It is the call logs. I just want to make sure it's between John O'Keefe and the defendant from, I just want to see the dates, the 28th, January 28th, 2022 to January 29th, 2022.
Would this contain all the phone calls from his phone data for the calls between those two parties that night?
Yes, that's what I created.
I'd like to move this as an exhibit, please.
Okay. So,
If I could, Your Honor, I just want to compare to make sure you get the same.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
You captured all of the phone calls between two parties on that last document. Can you also do that with chats?
Yes, that is true.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a document of chats between the phones of the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe for after midnight for the evening hours of January 29, 2002?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm good.
You recognize that document, sir?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us what that is?
These are the texts from the defendant to John O'Keefe. Yes.
For January 29, 2022?
Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'd move this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay,
No objection, Your Honor.
thank you.
624.
Did you identify or specify chat messages between John O'Keefe and a person named Jen McCabe?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a Cellbrite report?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can we have just a brief moment, please?
It's sidebar?
No,
Just the two of you?
compare them what we have.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're welcome.
Sir, I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize it?
Yes. This is the text messages between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe on 29th on January 29th, 2022.
And this is through a search of Cellbrite where you match their data and pull up all of their conversations?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'd move to introduce this, please, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
625.
Excuse me.
Similarly to the chats, did you do the same with calls between Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. McCabe?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document, sir. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is the call log between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe for, just want to make sure I have all the dates correct, just for January 29th, 2022.
Do evidence, Your Honor?
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
626.
Did you do a file extraction and a report on all chats between the phones of John O'Keefe and the defendant for a period of time?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Giving you a document. Do you recognize that document? Giving you a document.
Yes, this is the text messages between. Yes, this is the text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant from January 28th to January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, move this into evidence.
Okay. Mr. Alessi?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
27.
Did you have an opportunity to make a report from some of the data from the defendant's phone from January 29, 2022?
What are you referring? I did make some reports from the defendant's phone.
What's a call log report?
Again, the call log report is the calls that the party makes to another phone. So it's going to show everyone they've called or attempted to call.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury what it is?
It's the call log from the defendant's phone for January 29th, 2022. It looks like everyone she called.
Introduce this as an exhibit, please. No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
28.
What we just introduced into evidence is the entire call log of calls to anybody and everybody to and from for that period of time.
Yes.
That's fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
And then can you further isolate calls between just two parties?
Yes, you can. You can search by phone number or name.
And did you do that with the defendant's records for some parties?
Yes, I did.
Did you isolate phone calls between the defendant and Ms. McCabe for the evening of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Guys, take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the phone calls from the defendant and Jennifer McCabe, January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to move this into evidence, please. No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
29.
Did you isolate calls between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 22?
Yes, I did.
Can I see the last exhibit, please? Thank you, sir. I asked you to take a look at that document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Could you share with the jury what it is?
Yep. It's the call logs between the defendant and Carrie Roberts for January 29th, 2022. Yes.
And that's a report you created?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I will listen to evidence, please. No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
30.
Did you have an opportunity to isolate and produce a report for all chats between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury what that is?
This is text messages between the defendant and Kerry Roberts on January 29th, 2022.
I would move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Jurors, this is the way we have to put evidence in cases in Massachusetts, okay?
Exhibit 31.
It's kind of the way you put evidence in every state, pretty much. Basically.
You have an opportunity to identify a text message or a chat between the defendant and a person by the name of Ingrid on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
By the way, we have a tentative logo for our design. This is our tentative logo.
Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Let's see if I can remove
Yes. This
myself real fast.
text conversation between the defendant and looks like a group chat between Ingrid Curtis and Bill Curtis.
Did you make that report?
Yes. And this is on January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. And move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
The OnlyFans merch is being developed as we speak.
If this is a good time, if Your Honor would permit.
Okay. Jurors, what we're going to do is we will take our morning recess now, and we'll take 20 minutes to a half an hour. We'll see you then.
All right, cool. Well, I could have just waited. I could have literally just waited for the break, but that's okay. Oh well. Yeah. So yeah, this is tentatively where we're going in terms of this design that we are trying to do. So how do I remove myself from the thing? No. Yeah. Okay. I need to call this, or let me rename this before I forget what it is. Rename. This is going to be donation QR. All right. So anyways, here's our tentative logo. This is meant to look similar to the OnlyFans logo. That's what we're going for. And so this would be the center of a Brady Bunch style layout in which we would put fans from other trials in a Brady Bunch layout. And this would be the center square of our tic-tac-toe grid. So that's sort of the direction that we're heading. I thought I'd share that with you. I hope you like it. That's kind of where we're going on that one. I think that's sufficiently evocative of the OnlyFans logo that people understand the reference. So anyways, that's what we're doing. So now we just need to find 8 fans from 8 trials that we can put in. So we just need to go through 8 different trials and find 8 different fans. We definitely have to have, of course, the Murdaugh trial. Definitely have to have this trial. If there was a fan in, Johnny Depp, we need the Johnny Depp fan. If there was a fan in Kyle Rittenhouse, we certainly need the Kyle Rittenhouse fan. And then what fills in our motley crew of fans? I don't know. Actually, this would be a good place for you guys in chat to participate. So if there's a fan that you like, you could make an image. It has to fit into a nice square, right? So it has to be a square presentation. But if you can find a fan that you like, preferably that will fit into a square easily, you can drop it on our Discord and you can contribute to our building logo. So that is an option that's available to you if you're interested in that. OJ fan? Sure. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, we can have the OJ fan. If there's a fan in the OJ room, 100%. Yes, it can be in the Motley crew. So that is one of the things that we were doing with our time this morning. We could also put in Daybell, Laurie Vello Daybell, if there was a fan in that. I feel like she deserves a place of honor because she's crazy. Do the pics need to be animated? No, they're not going to be animated in the image. It needs to be a still image. It needs to look good as a still image because we're going to print it on merch, preferably a glass of some kind, I'm thinking. You know, the OnlyFan glass is kind of my first vision of this thing. So it needs to look good as a still because it's going to be printed. And convicted guilty again? Yeah, no surprise there. So after she's done with her life imprisonment, she can serve life in a different state. Yeah. Yeah. Shabusiness, Taylor Shabusiness. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, Taylor Shabusiness can be a fan. Yeah. Boone have a fan? I don't know if Boone had a fan. If Boone had a fan, she can be a fan. Yeah, so we're getting some ideas of where these various fans are coming from in terms of trials. The ones that speak more to us, obviously, as a channel. So OJ is obviously incredibly notable, but you know, before my time as a commenter. So like, if the OJ fan has to go, it has to go. But the fans that most speak to the channel's history, because it's a nice inside reference for those who know, right? It's like, can you identify these lineup of fans from various cases we've covered? So yeah, the cases that have been most notable. So Johnny Depp for sure, then Kyle Rittenhouse for sure, this case for sure, and Murdaugh I think has to be because it's just kind of nuts. Taylor Shabusiness, Sarah Boone, and then we need two more on top of that. Brooks. If Brooks had a fan, I think that Brooks needs a place of glory. Yes. Treehouse murder? Maybe. If we can't find anything better for that 8th slot, maybe. YSL we didn't really cover very deeply, but a possible 8th. YSL was just it was impossible. It was impossible. I need a mini fan behind me on my shelf, maybe. So if some of you guys could create images of those respective fans and put them in the Discord, that would be helpful. Scottish fan, but there's no images of the Supreme Court, and as memory serves, there's not a ceiling fan in that courtroom because they've been there multiple times. I'm pretty sure there's not a ceiling fan in the courtroom. Yeah. So there's, I don't believe there is a fan in the Supreme Court. I know it's sad for everybody. Yeah, YSL was impossible. Yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't cover it in the end because it was like just too much. It was too much. I went to Clemson. I did go to Clemson. Yeah, absolutely. I went to Clemson, of course. Graduated in 08, graduated in 04, twice. I graduated in May and August of 2004. Count it, two times graduation. Yeah. I graduated in May with a computer science degree, in August with a political science degree, both BS degrees. And then I went to law school in that same August. I had like 2 weeks break between something. It was incredibly close. It's like 2 weeks or something between undergrad and law school. It was, yeah. Daryl Brooks, yeah, for sure. Yeah. If there's a fan there, we definitely need it. For sure. In some ways, all degrees are BSs. Yeah, maybe. I needed that second foreign language credit. So I did summer school to finish that second foreign language credit. Did I do both? Did I do both foreign language credits that summer? I might have. I don't remember. It's been a while. I definitely did one of them during that summer break. Foreign language and me don't really get along. So I think I got a C and I was happy. Like, not my strength, man. Just pull out a bare minimum so I can get my degree. BAs are more BS than BS. Yeah, well, BAs require more foreign language. They basically, it was interesting because they essentially invented the BS political science degree while I was there. And that was interesting. So it was interesting because when I started Clemson in 99, there was no BS political science degree. They created it. I think I might have been the first year they graduated with it, actually. Yeah. But anyways, it was interesting because they were planning on creating a degree. So it was interesting because I had to sort of anticipate what the requirements for the degree would wind up being, which made things challenging. But, you know, I guess I guessed right because they gave me my degree. So I guess it worked out. But yeah. And the reason I got the BS degree was because of the foreign language requirement. It's like, because the BA degree requires 2 years of foreign language, you know, Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm like, nope. Yeah, I can't. I don't wanna. I don't wanna. So I was like, just getting past Spanish 2 was enough of a challenge. Thank you very much. So I needed to create the BS degree for me, which wasn't so bad because I had like the math requirements that I needed, of course, because, you know, I was doing BS computer science. So I had like I had all those credits that I needed. So it wasn't so bad. I probably should try to give Spanish another try, though. I should probably try to download one of the programs, probably not Duolingo, probably one of the other ones like Babbel or something, and see if I can learn Spanish, not for at least two reasons. That one, I'm in Texas, and two, if I ever become a judge someday, some understanding of Spanish would probably be helpful. You know, not necessarily have to be fluent, but that I can understand enough Spanish to understand what they're saying would be helpful. So I don't totally rely on the translator. That'd be nice. Duolingo, be your friend on Duo? Okay. We could be friends maybe on Duolingo. Maybe that's the way to go. I've taken every language. I took Latin in middle school, which was a whole thing. I remember how to do Roman numerals. I've got that going for me. But that was, yeah, me and foreign language. I've taken Latin, I've taken French, I've taken Spanish. I tried German at one point. Foreign language and I just don't really work. We don't gel. I am not a polylinguist. It is not my natural suit. And now I know just enough Latin from law. Because sometimes Latin has law, so I know Latin that way. From Latin phrases that are in law. So, but yeah. Not going to speak Latin anytime soon, that's for sure. The nice thing English has going for it, as opposed to a lot of other languages, is that our language doesn't have gender in our words, which is really nice. That's the best thing English has got going for it. There are very, 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 very few gendered words in English. Also, we don't have two versions of you. We only have the formal version in English. We don't have the informal. We dropped the informal. When we went from Middle English to Modern English, we dropped the informal. So all that's left is the formal version. of you. So that's nice too. So we got that going for us. No gendered, and we only have one version of you. So that's nice. Yeah. Worst problem with English is that our pronunciation rules are not consistent, as has been noted by many, many comedians. That's learning how to pronounce English is challenging because, yeah, the words are not pronounced the way they sound. They used to be pronounced more like French in oldish English. So like the easiest way if you want to speak Old English or get close to it, the easiest way to speak Old English is to pronounce every letter and pronounce the vowels like they're French. And that's kind of how Old English sounded. So, yeah. But, yeah. Yeah, the great vowel shift, something like that, yeah. One of my personal favorite quotes, and I need to find the quote, but I paraphrase the quote. One of my personal favorite quotes, just to show you like what is old is new again, is basically there's a quote in a book somewhere, basically where they're grousing about the kids these days. The kids these days don't know how to speak proper Latin. And what they didn't realize when they said that is the kids were basically inventing French. So that's that. I find that humorous. Like the kids these days aren't speaking proper Latin. Yeah, they were busy inventing French. Yeah. Oh man. I like etymology. I like the origin of words. I think that's always interesting. The logic of etymology is sometimes really cool, like where words come from. And their origins are just very, very logical. It's like, oh, this word is just these other words that were combined together, and these other words were combined just because they're very, very logical. It was incredibly descriptive, basically, when it was first made up. It was just incredibly descriptive. And the descriptive sense has sort of been lost over time, but it's like when you go back, it's just like, cold water. It's like, oh, it's just, yeah, why is this word called ice? Oh, ice just literally means cold water. Oh, okay, that kind of thing, Bad example, but you understand the drift. Yeah, problem with German is longer compound words. Yeah, so you kind of have some of that in English, but it's been lost. The compounded words kind of happened, and then we sort of forgot they were compounded. But they aren't these long, unwieldy things like in German. There's like 2, maybe 3 things that were smashed together, as opposed to what the Germans sometimes do with some of their word choices. But yeah, the Germans are an interesting group. Part of English's issue is that Germanic words are pronounced Germanically and French root stuff is pronounced Romanically. Yeah, so English has a huge amount of loan words, as I'm sure anyone who knows us appreciates. Something like 70% of our language is loaned. And so, yeah, the German languages are pronounced German, the French words are pronounced French, and the Latin words are pronounced Latin, and so forth and so on. And then, of course, you throw in, a couple 100/1,000 years of corruption and vowel shifts and everything else, and we are where we wound up. It's fun and exciting. Yeah, kindergarten. Yeah, there you go. Krakenhaus. Krankenhaus. Fun. Children's garden. I know. Kindergarten. I mean, it's very logical, right? What is a kindergarten? It's a garden with children. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, very logical. The Germans are good for the logical. We like the Germans for that, right? We like the Germans for that. Very, very technically good engineers. Could use some help on the humor, though. Although I really like some of their watches, right? The two watches I'm lusting after right now are both German. The Nomos is German, it's Glashütte. And the Zen is German. So the two watches I'm lusting after both right now are both German watches. So there you go. Not Swiss. They're German, baby. Put that made in Germany right on the dial, man. Call it a day. German cars, they can be fun. Yeah. A little unimaginative sometimes by comparison, but engineeringly usually pretty good, although hit and miss, to be honest. The Japanese has been sort of crushing everyone for reliability for a while. Back when Mercedes used to be the most reliable brand in the world, and they were built like tanks, but not as much anymore these days. Sad. Sad. What happened to you, Germany? What happened? Thought you were supposed to be the engineering masters. What happened to you? It's disappointing. Italian cars can be fun. That's true. They definitely have a flamboyant design. Yes. Yeah, the Germans can do the engineering. The Italians do the design. Yeah. Don't let the English do the electricity. They'll do it backwards. Don't let the English do the electricity. Hey, Meme Copian Raiders, how are you doing? Glad to have you joining us today. Thank you for joining our beautiful, beautiful channel. We're just on a break right now. We're talking about languages, and we're talking about cars, and we're talking about watches. If any of those topics interest you while we're waiting for the court on break. Rolex started as a British company. They're decidedly Swiss now. Rolex as a company rubs me the wrong way right now, though. Every time I've ever been in one of their stores, I don't get a good experience. Because when I'm just like looking around just to look at stuff, yeah, Rolex kind of, every time I've gone to a store, well, most of the times I've gone to a store, I don't really get a good experience. And I don't really have that problem with other companies. Plus, their designs are a little basic in a lot of ways. So, yeah. I don't really like the way they treat their customers, and their designs are a little safe sometimes. But that's okay. How was the Denny's experience? It was pretty solid, I guess. Thank you for asking, Meme Copian. It was a good and very subtle joke, and I did appreciate the love you extended to me on your channel about that. That was very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate that you appreciate the joke, and I appreciate that you enjoyed spending time with me on a very, very subtle joke. It was a very dry, very subtle joke, and I appreciated your appreciation. Thank you. Tissot makes great stuff for the price, especially. Tissot makes good stuff. Tissot and Hamilton both make really good stuff for the price. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the PRX. I prefer the Gentleman. The PRX is not really my thing. They make some good chronographs over there, though. They're pretty interesting. You like pocket watches? That's cool. Old school, but I appreciate it. We come bearing autism. Nice. The car brand that amuses you the most is Citroen. Yeah, I feel that. Who wants to buy a French car? Yeah, I don't know, man. If you like your watch, man, you love your watch, man. Different watches speak to different people. Yeah, if you have a PRX and you like it, then like it, man. Yeah, a lot of people really like it. It's a very, very popular watch right now. So, yeah, if you like, always buy what speaks to you. There are a lot of different ways, a lot of different watches that speak to a lot of different people, man. My taste is not your taste. You find something that speaks to you. Find something that you really like. That's if you like it, you like it. That's, it's a taste. It's fine. Pulsar? Old school Pulsar? Do you have like an old school Pulsar? Like a really old school one? That'd be cool. That's neat. If you have like a vintage, that's interesting. Did Bev rule in the video clip? Yes, she did. She allowed it and it was played for the 2 seconds of whatever bullshit it was. It's a 2-3 second long video clip. I mean, who cares? But yes, it was played. So, yeah. Pulsar was the first digital quartz. The Astron was the first quartz watch, 1970, I think. Ever heard of a Soviar Etitus? No, I don't know that. Pulsars were a major stat symbol way back? Sure. Yeah, when they first came out, absolutely they were. Yeah, 100%. Quartz, when it first came out, was incredibly expensive. And then it became dirt cheap. Yeah, but those first quartz watches were as expensive as any mechanical watch, yeah. And then like 10 years later, they were $5, but yeah. Am I going to do an update on Judge Newman's argument? I'm not aware of the situation. What's happening in Newman world? Not vintage, but you love it nonetheless? Okay, fair enough. Let's take a look and see what we've got in Pulsar these days. Let's take a look and see what Pulsar's doing these days in terms of watches. I haven't taken a look at them recently. I'm getting a warning about their site. Oh, their certificate expired. Okay, that's stupid. All right, let's see what's going on in Pulsar world. Seiko Australia. There's no watches here. Okay, we encourage you to click below to see the range. Okay. Why is it called Alba? and not called Pulsar. I'm confused. Swatch are cheap, disposable, but they're fun. As long as you realize they're cheap and pretty disposable. I have a Swatch that I've had since 99 and it's still working. So, exception to the rule and all, but yeah. Movado? No. Movado is a pass for me. All right, just go on Amazon shopping. See what we got. Two-tone? No. Gray? Not bad. I wish it was 100 meter water resistant, but 50 meter, okay. How about this one? 50 meter? Day. Anything else that looks interesting? I think we could do better, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not really, I think we could do better. This one's 50 meter water resistant for $50. If you need just something easy every day for $50, 50 meter water resistant, as long as you don't take it like into the ocean or something, yeah, you should be fine. So I guess I can respect that. Not, that's fine for $50. Yeah, that's acceptable. Doxa dive watch, respect.
All right.
We see the court is in session.
Could I see counsel for a minute regarding scheduling, please?
Oh dear, we're back to sidebar. Okay, they've been arguing this morning she didn't receive due process and a neutral arbiter should be removed. I think it's going to go DC Circuit. Could be. Citizen I like. Citizen is a great brand. I'm wearing a Citizen right now. Their solar technology is the best. And Citizen makes a lot of really good watches for not much money. Citizen, recommended. Seiko isn't quite the good deal it used to be, but Seiko still makes some good stuff. Yeah. Doxa, dive watch, old school, very traditional dive watch, especially with the orange. Respect. Tag Heuer is a pass for me, especially the one they just came out with. Way too expensive for what they're asking, in my humble opinion. It's at least twice as expensive as it should be. They came out with this kind of plasticky looking piece of shit and they want like $1,500 for it. Get fucked. I'm not even sure it's worth half that. Jaeger? Yeah, they're fine. What kind of Citizen am I rocking? I am rocking the ProMaster Tough Ramiers is what I'm rocking. With a green dial. Solar technology, monoblock titanium, sapphire crystal, 200 meter water resistant, 40 millimeter. Easy peasy, fantastic, love it. What's the most overrated watch in my opinion? Well, Movado, certainly. Richard Mille. Hublot. Frank Moeller. Those are some names that come to mind. Patek Philippe. No, they make some okay. They make fine stuff. They're expensive, but so Patek Philippe is all right, and you can get some stuff that's not like break the bank necessarily.
Jury, please.
I mean, it's expensive, but it's only car expensive, not necessarily house expensive. Any tourbillon? Tourbillon is interesting, but not functionally required. Yeah, Patek Philippe and AP. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'd rather have Journe, though, than either one of those brands, if it were me. I'd rather be rocking a Journe. Or an Ace Long. That's my opinion. Ace Long or Journe over Patek Philippe or AP.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Just a few more items I'd like you to recognize. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Showing you an envelope. Do you know what's in that envelope?
Yes, the raw data extraction of John O'Keefe's cell phone.
All right, ask it to be marked for identification, please.
Okay.
Exhibit A, identification.
Thank you.
Second folder.
Yes, the raw data extraction of Jen McCabe's cell phone that I created.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, ask it to be marked for identification as well.
All right.
Exhibit B for identification.
Thank you.
Trooper, you shared with us that you downloaded the extraction of the phones that you identified, and you made reports based on specific identified features. For example, a conversation between two people.
Yeah, so I didn't do the extraction of Jen's phone, but I made those reports with the PDFs from the data extraction.
Relative to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant's phones, you created a document that provided us the phone calls between them on January 29th?
Yes, that's correct.
And separately, you also provided a document that included all of the chats or text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 29, 2022.
Yes, it also included the 28th.
Thank you.
Yes.
And in that compilation, did you put together or do you create or review a PowerPoint of those?
Yes, I did.
And what was the point of that?
Just to show the texts and calls in a chronological order, because that way you're not looking at two different documents trying to compare and contrast the calls to text messages when each is coming in.
And did you begin that PowerPoint presentation with a call at 2:16:10 on January 28, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
And are there additional chats or text messages earlier that morning?
Yes, there's a handful starting around 9:45 a.m.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you a folder, sir. Could you take a look at it? Let's know if you recognize what's in it.
Yes. So this is the bulk of this is the PowerPoint calls and text messages, and at the beginning, there's the messages from before 2:16 in the morning.
I'd like to introduce this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Exhibit 33.
For permission, I'd ask the witness to read the text messages from the morning hours, and then we begin the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a hard copy of those for me?
It was provided. I'll see if we have another copy if you don't have it.
All right, I have, it's in here, the pre-morning hours, the ones that we discussed at sidebar. If you don't have them,
The defense has a copy for you, Your Honor.
thank you.
Got it. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Little.
Okay, thank you.
May we begin, Your Honor?
Please.
Could you first read the text messages from that morning to the jury?
Yes. Apologize if I misspell things or state things. Start time, all right. It's a little different than the format I had before. All right, this is from Karen Reed to John O'Keefe. You have really hurt me this time. This was sent at 9:49:20 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm sorry, this has been an issue with me for 8 years. It physically hurts me to see everyone else in their life do things for them, and I'm forced to always be the bad guy. This is sent at 10:02:56 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm not the same as everyone else. Most of the time I try to do what is healthy/smart for them. More importantly, I try to support you in what you need. You just lashed out at me and said terrible things. I don't know how you've gotten to this point with me when I'm just trying my hardest. You made your point and continue to beat me down. I have a lot going on too. Physically, I am falling apart and trying to get answers and help. 10:09:49 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am just your girlfriend. I am not a perfect parent. I am trying very hard and sometimes treat them - nothing like I used to. 10:46 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know, I'm sorry for lashing out. I'm just hurting and struggle daily with them. Always feel like I'm failing at this parenting thing. I wasn't built for this. 10:12 a.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, Kaylee isn't perfect, but everything wonderful about her is because of you. 12:21:36 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji is sent at 12:21:59 on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, it's true, I know she's her mother's daughter, but she wouldn't be so bright and successful if she lived with anyone else. 12:22:51 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, wow, Kristen just sent 2 back-to-back messages to not lose your faith in the kids. 12:31:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or in yourself, at 12:31:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, there's 2 emojis sent at 12:32:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, and there's 2 emojis. Life can pick you up sometimes. Please be happy with them and put away your frustrations for the rest of the day. And be so proud of yourself, JJ. That's 12:33:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, that's what bothers me more than anything. Should have sent Peg's or Sarah's W-2s. We are all equal guardians. 1:18:21 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe you can call someone. 1:21:55 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like who? 1:46:42 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what time are you coming here? 1:47:38 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's another emoji sent, 2:05:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know what time, feel kind of out of it, just trying to clear my head, 2:06:07 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he writes, okay, 2:06:25 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, text me when you guys settle in later, 2:06:44 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, sure, 2:06:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to, oh, no, it's cut off here, sir.
Yeah. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That must be where the, so,
Would it be helpful if I take it out of the binder, please?
I believe it goes to the next one, so I'll start. Yeah, sorry.
With the court's permission, we'll begin the PowerPoint.
Yes.
At your leisure.
Okay. The phone calls, text messages, and then we'll start with the first slide. This is from the defendant to John O'Keefe. I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. 2:16:10 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not sure what you want me to do. I said I'm sorry and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. 2:17:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, things in my own life have been difficult too, you know. 2:17:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know. 2:17:40 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:17:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The phone call is answered and they speak for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2:23:02 p.m., the defendant calls John. That's again answered. At 1:00, and they speak for 1 minute, 2 seconds. At 2:24:17 p.m., the defendant calls John and the call is rejected. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, tell me if you're interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. 2:25:18 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, nope. 2:25:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? 2:26:03 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:28:40 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected.
Mr. Greeno, can you explain to us the difference between not answered and rejected?
Yes, so if the call is not answered, that means the call rang out and goes to voicemail. If the call is rejected, that is someone actively hitting the send to voicemail button to disable the call to stop it from ringing. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, kids are here, not in the mood to talk. 2:29:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into it anymore. That's fine, but I don't want to keep trying and you keep treating me like this. 2:29:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning and you whack me in the face with a pillow. 2:29:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, last night you're basically like, yeah, what about when we talk about the future? So why don't you just admit you're not into so much anymore? 2:30:23 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not how it went down, but okay. 2:30:26 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please admit your head is out of the game with us? 2:30:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now. So yeah, I'm not as quick to jump back into being lovey-dovey as you apparently. 2:32:28 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:32:47 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, OMG, stop calling. 2:32:54 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then why would you start with me this morning? 2:32:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you're setting me up to fail. 2:33:05 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you started a number of fights from your end. 2:33:26 p.m. on the 28th. And John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've explained it a few times already, not doing it again. 2:33:31 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into this anymore. 2:33:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not into fighting all the time, correct. 2:34:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you tell me you're interested in someone else, you will never hear from me again. You can have all the space in the world. 2:34:11 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he sends an emoji. 2:34:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, and stop starting with me, 2:34:20 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:29 p.m., the defendant calls John. He rejects the call. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm not answering, stop calling. 2:34:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer after how you treated me earlier? 2:34:43 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:54 p.m. the defendant calls John. That's rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, Kaylee is right here. 2:35:02 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, you start a rager with me out of nowhere and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. 2:35:41 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. 2:38:14 p.m. on the 28th. 2:38:42 p.m. the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. The defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer? 2:38:52 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, no Karen, not sure why you need to announce that you're going, not sure why you need to announce that you're grabbing a drink, but have fun. 2:39:46 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, seeing if you want to meet me later. 2:40:22 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please call me? 2:40:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, have to take them to the doctor, he has practice. 2:40:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, 5 minutes. 2:41:17 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:43:01 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 2:43:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant. My father just walked in. 2:43:58 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, can you please call me for 2 minutes? 2:44:14 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, not right now. 2:44:23 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm there when anyone else needs me. 2:44:26 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:45:32 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. The defendant calls Mr. O'Keefe. Yes, John, you gave me utter grief this morning. I'd like you to call me for a minute. 2:46:16 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I've been trying to get over the hump with is arguing, and now you tell me you're not into doing things, and you don't want to fight weekly, but fly off the handle at 8 a.m. with me, like you're setting me up to fail. 2:47:08 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I've been dealing with my own personal crisis over things I have zero control over. I'd like to lean on you too sometimes. Instead, I just hear everything I've done wrong. 2:48:34 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:56 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. At 2:51:13 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. 2:52:37 p.m., John calls the defendant. It's not answered. At 2:53:56, the defendant calls John. Again, not answered. The defendant, John O'Keefe, you seriously cannot pick up the phone for 2 seconds. 2:54:13 p.m. 2:58:05 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. At 2:59:13, John calls the defendant. The call is answered and they speak for 4 minutes, 59 seconds. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, why don't you meet me at Hillside at 4:30/5, 3:08:55 p.m. John O'Keefe to the defendant sends an emoji at 3:10:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or whenever you get, or whenever you get everyone settled. 3:10:35 p.m. on the 28th. Second. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like I said, doctor now, and he has practice till 6. If you want me to go start, if you want to go start drinking, then go for it. 3:36:21 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I didn't know the times of his practice. 3:36:40 p.m. on the 28th. And the defendant to John O'Keefe, I just want to give you space at the house without me there. So rather meet you out than meet at the house. 3:37:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, yeah, well now there's a 72-year-old taking up shop on my couch. 3:37:36 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, that too. 3:37:46 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is he going to Collins? 3:38:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, not tonight. 3:38:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so do you plan on going out tonight? 3:39:01 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Karen, I don't know. 3:39:17 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you're like jonesing to drink, so go. 3:39:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, after how this morning went down, I don't think I need to be back over there with you. Get frustrated at how I am with the kids. Has nothing to do with drinking. 3:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. So rather see you for a minute without it, kids around. 3:40:24 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what's your plan at 4:47:16 p.m. on the 28th? From the defendant to John O'Keefe, don't have one, 4:50:09 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so still home, 4:50:26 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 4:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we just got home, waiting to see what Papa decides here or else I have to get Patrick at 6. 4:59:45 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant John O'Keefe, okay, 5:01:55 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, so are you staying home or coming here? 5:02:23 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, waiting to see what you end up doing. I don't want to hang out at the house too much, like I said. 5:03:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I think it's clear me around the kids, I think it's clear me around with the kids around is slowly killing our relationship, and our relationship is much more important to me. 5:04:16 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, there's a blizzard coming, so we'll be inside all weekend. 5:04:19 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it will be over by noon tomorrow. 5:04:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't think so. 5:05:27 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to keep having this constant conflict of the dynamic of the four of us. The harder I try, the more it kills our relationship as a couple. It feels like utter shit to be in that position. Rather just meet you out for drinks when you figure out what your night looks like. 5:06:45 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, I have no idea what's going on, so do what you want. 5:07:34 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, need to figure out what everyone here is doing. All I know now is Madeline is coming over. No clue about Patrick yet, or if Papa is planning on hanging it for a few more hours. 5:09:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, when you know the story, and if you want me to come up, let me know. 5:12:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, no, Karen, you decide what you want to do. 5:13:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I know your heart isn't in this anymore. I felt it for a while, and especially lately. I'm willing to try more, but not if you approaching the point of indifference. If you want me to come up and you can head out for a while, then say so. When you know what
I mean, this sounds a lot like the relationship's on a decline. I mean, it's not great.
John O'Keefe to the defendant, you come up and I head out, really? Emoji. 5:15:48. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've told you already, I don't bounce back as quickly as you do after we have a battle. 5:16:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, head out together with an emoji. 5:17:49 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or meet out. 5:17:54 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, gonna send Patrick to Collins tonight. They're picking him up around 7. Mike may hang out too when he brings Matt over. So why don't you just come over? 5:19:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike doesn't want to go out for a bit. 5:20:20 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I would like to, been a shit day from the jump. 5:20:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, probably 5:20:39 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I just got sober an hour ago. 5:20:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll text you, hang with Mike for a few. I don't need to butt in. Text me if/when you think you may head out. 5:25:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you send me Tim Zoll's contact info, please? 5:26:38 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I paid the last bill. 5:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you didn't have to do that, thanks. 5:27:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, are you really not going to accept my friend request? 5:32:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji on what, FB? 5:33:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, we've been going out for 2 years. 5:33:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I haven't gone on. You defriended me over a year ago, I believe. 5:33:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Kerry texted that they're headed out in a bit. 6:05:29 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, okay, 6:14:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, she's going to let me know where, 6:17:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going to meet them, 6:18:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just presenting it as an option, wouldn't mind hanging out with them for a drink. 6:19 p.m. on the 28th. Sorry. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is Mike over? 6:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes. 6:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, sounds you're like good with getting together tonight. 6:31:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, was hoping after this morning you'd be interested in smoothing things over with me. 6:32:24 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe, the defendant, told you to come over, but you insisted on meeting me out somewhere. 6:33:44 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe.
All right, I'm going to mute the court audio, and I'm just going to read it for a while and see if that gets us anywhere. I'll start with the next message. Time to get over it, Karen. He's fine. He was fine the other night when he came by. From Karen Reed. Yeah, just wouldn't mind hanging out with other people like one another. From him. Where are you meeting them? From Karen. I don't have plans with them. She just said they're headed out in a bit and will text when they land somewhere. From Karen Reed. If you want to go out with Mike solo, that's fine. Just let me know. From him. I already told you what you should do. Not going to keep doing this. From Karen Reed. I asked to let me know if you guys are going to head out. I haven't been out for drinks this week and had a shit week and a shit day. And I dread Kaylee or Pat is going to get chatty with me the second I walk in, and that is going to irritate you. Pat is leaving. Kay is with Mad Cam. Okay. From him, I'll text Chris then. From him, we're heading out shortly. What's your plan, Karen? From Karen Reed, do you want me to join or no? From him, yes. Wasn't sure if you were meeting the Currans. From Karen Reed, they are not out drinking yet. From Karen, where are you headed? From him, trying to decide. Maybe McCarthy's? From Karen, okay then, let me know where you decide. I'm still down in Emfield. From him, text me when you leave. Still waiting on McKinney's. From Karen, I'm having issues with my hot water, so I had to text someone to take a look. From him, emoji, you trying to piss me off? From him, hope your plumber buddy that you, quote, texted, unquote, is hot. From Karen Reed, nope, my shower only got lukewarm and now my sink won't run hot at all. The plumber I used to use is right down the road. From Karen, I turned that temp thing in the basement all the way up. From him, check the water heater and see if it's leaking. From Karen, it's not. From him, don't do that. From him, is the pilot lit? From Karen, I was trying to get my shower hot. From Karen, yes. From him, don't turn it all the way up. From him, it'll burn out. From Karen, I had this issue twice before and it wasn't a disaster. I just can't remember what the cause was. From him, just turn it back to where it was and get over here. Karen, I don't want to come home in a blizzard and then be really up shit creek. I got bad news for you, Karen. From him, so you're going home tonight? From Karen, or tomorrow or whenever. I've had a chill all day since my shower. From him, it's going to snow all day tomorrow. No driving. From him, we're headed to McCarthy's. From Karen, okay, let me know if you end up leaving. Is this working for you guys? Is me doing this better? I'm trying to provide value. From him, why? Now you're not coming? From Karen, I'm waiting for the plumber. I actually think he's in the driveway. From him, we're taking Mike's car, so I'm relying on you for a ride home if he leaves. From Karen, he's not going home after? If I'm providing you value, I wouldn't mind a super chat of appreciation, just incidentally. Please tip your vocal reader. From him, 8 a.m. on a Friday, winking face. From him, he may have to get Michael. From him, you have a plumber coming over at 8 o'clock, knowing me and Papa could have handled it. Good luck. From Karen Reed, I've always told you, I will not put either of you out of your way the way everyone else in your life does. I knew it wasn't working right when you were at the doctor's with Kaylee, and I knew neither of you could get here. And this guy, Richie, fixed it last time, whatever it was. He was supposed to be here at 5. I mean, that sounds pretty considerate, right? She doesn't want to put him out of his way and just has a guy down the road who can fix the problem. I mean, you know, she's trying. From Karen, if it's not a quick fix, I'll tell him to forget it. From him, if you need a new water heater, don't let him do it. Can I do it in beef fish voice? I'm not sure that would be productive. From Karen, he's here now. If it's not quick, I'm not doing it. I just want to be sure nothing is wrong, will go wrong when I'm not home. From Karen, he's not a scammer. Half the quick stuff he doesn't even charge me for. From Karen Reed, he just puts the toilet seats on crooked. Okay. From him, status? From Karen, still here with some sort of emoji, I'm not quite sure. From Karen, said he's got to go HD and probably be back mañana. From him, so, ... From Karen, I think that's a shrug emoji. From Karen, just trying to figure out if I need to be here. From him, what does it need? From Karen, I don't know. He showed me some piece that was all rusted. Shrug emoji. I don't understand half this stuff. From him, on the water heater? From Karen, yes. From him, tell him to leave it. I'll take care of it Sunday or Monday. From Karen, no, it's okay. I can either meet him here or just shut off the alarm. Do you guys not have stainless over there? From Karen, he used to work here while I was at work. From him, does he realize it will be whiteout conditions tomorrow a.m.? From Karen, yeah, but he lives right down the road. From him, Karen, this storm is going to be intense. Can't drive. From Karen, okay, well, if he can't, he can't. Tautological, but I'll accept it. From him, I'll do it Monday. From Karen, ha, I better still not have this problem on Monday. Good news, you don't. From him, you plan on being there? From her, I know I can take a hot shower here if I need to. From him, figured you'd be in Canton till Monday. From him, I'm getting off the phone. Let me know what you're doing. From Karen, I think the four of us together is toxic to this relationship. Would like to limit it. Something is toxic, I'll agree with that. From Karen, you've said so yourself for probably a year now. From him, blizzard tomorrow. Nobody is going anywhere. From Karen, maybe I'll come back late tonight. Bad snow is in the early morning. From Karen, I'll head up there in a few minutes. Let me know if you leave. This could have been solved with a phone call. From him, eye rolling emoji, sure. Are we done with text message time? Oh, thank God.
We're almost done, sir.
And you can feel free to stand.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
So that presentation is a compilation of text messages and phone calls between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 28, 2022.
Yes, that was.
Aside from that compilation, are there other text messages and phone calls that you've reviewed between John O'Keefe and the defendant that evening, January 28, 2002, going into past midnight, January 29, 2022.
Yes, there's more text messages.
And those text messages and phone calls, are they a separate compilation from this?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, this time I'd ask us to release Trooper Gaarino and recall him at a later date.
Yes, all right. There's no objection, Mr. Alessi, correct?
No objection, subject to revenge.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much, Trooper. We'll see you another time.
Thank you, Your Honor. You just leave it. Thanks.
Oh, we're going to hear from him again. How
Is
nice.
this the time for me to see counsel at sidebar? Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
I'm going to introduce exhibits or clips 7 through 11.
Exhibit 34. Thank you.
With the court's permission, could I begin with clip 7?
Yes.
All right, what you got for us in terms of clips? More interviews? Okay.
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had probably about 4, and not 4 that I completed either. I didn't drink maybe more than a few sips at the waterfall.
And 4 drinks you felt fine to drive?
Yep.
Clip 8, please.
Okay.
And is the level of intoxication pretty high here for everybody?
It's happy.
Yeah.
It's
Because you'd had a lot to drink, right?
I wouldn't say I have like a normal amount. Let's say like a vodka tonic every 40 minutes.
Okay. And so are you feeling like buzzed? And I'm not judging, I'm just trying to get a
Yeah,
sense.
buzzed.
Yeah.
Clip 9, please.
The final count of my alcohol intakes, probably about 5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest vodka tonic. It tasted just like old soda water with lime. Not that I needed to be a martini, but it might have had a splash of vodka in it. So I said, John, this drink tastes like it has no vodka in it. And he said, just get a shot and mix it yourself. So each drink was being counted as a double. So I would get a vodka tonic and then I would pour a shot into it. So that would count as 2. Frankly, it just felt like a regular cocktail. It was just a really weak pour. So I asked for a shot. So for my taste, it just tasted like that's the normal strength of what a drink should be. So I had maybe 2 or 3 that are being counted as 4 and 6. And I don't know. I felt fine. I felt like I was buzzed. And then there was one drink, the last one that was given to me, which I would have counted as 3, but they're counting as my 6th cocktail. The guys that we were with brought around shots, and they gave me one that I didn't drink, but I poured it in my drink. So that's now my 5th and 6th drinks, with the 7th, which is a shot that all the men did, and I poured it. So that one glass that I'm holding, that I go into the waterfall with, has 3 drinks in it, a vodka tonic and 2 shots. And which is why John said to me, you're not leaving that drink here, like you haven't touched it and just poured a bunch of vodka. He's like, just take it with you, which was something he always did. So then I go into waterfall and I put that drink down and I would socialize most of the time. So that would have been my 5th, 6th, and 7th drinks. Then John orders me a drink at the waterfall that I don't drink, that he takes with him. And then there was a round of shots that Chris Howard bought that I did take. So that would have been the night. But I did not consume 9 vodka martinis or take 9 shots, depending on how you count it. And the last 2 drinks I didn't touch.
Clip 10, please.
so, and that led me to question, like, could I have hit him? Did I run over his foot or hit him in the knee? Did I incapacitate him? I mean, I always drive with my music blasting ever since I was 16. And I know when John got out of the car to go into Fairview, I know my car was blasting because when I got in it the next morning to go look for him, I had to immediately turn it down. And I don't know, it's stormy. I have had a few cocktails. I didn't black out, but I wasn't as lucid as I would have been if I had gone to bed at 9 and drank a tea. But so I was fuzzier than I would have been if I had had no alcohol.
Clip 11, please.
How did you feel after that many drinks? When you got in the car, did you feel like you could drive, and did you feel how
I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway. I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway at 12:15 on January 29th. I mean, it was quiet. The roads were very quiet. You can see it on the videos. And I was going, when I've had a few drinks and I drive, I always drive extra slow. So I know my alerts aren't as sharp as they should be. But I shouldn't have been driving. But I don't think I was driving. I know I wasn't driving recklessly. We've got plenty of video of myself driving all over the place. I put my car in John's garage, which is incredibly narrow, and I had a very oversized SUV. You see, there's a video of me driving through the intersection when we leave Waterfall to go to Brian Albert's, and I was always taught by my father, even when you have a green light, you always should tap the brake, and you don't know who's going to run red. And I see me doing that multiple times between 12 and 1 and 5 and 6 a.m. So I know I was driving safely, not as safely or as alert as I would be if I had no alcohol. But I was not driving recklessly by any measure.
Thank you. Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
More sidebar, people. More sidebar. I mean, we all know that, people tend to underreport their drinks. It's the classic, how many drinks do you had? Only a couple, right? So the number she gave and then her description may not necessarily be fully accurate. So the jury may be thinking she was hammered, especially if she was drinking with shots added and stuff. It's they might be thinking that her count is, if anything, a massive underestimate. So, and I have to give the prosecutor credit, by the way. We all hate to give the prosecutor credit, but where credit is due. The way that they're interlacing these videos and not dumping them all at once and just dumping them essentially one thing and then a witness and then a clip and then the way that they're interspersing her is really, really nice. I really like it.
Confusion with counsel regarding witnesses. So those are the witnesses for today. So we're done for today.
We're done for the day?
Counsel assures me that won't happen again. But more importantly, we're on track. We're on schedule.
What?
Not going for the rest
I get
of
a
the
break?
day.
We're done for the day. Oh, okay. That was fun. Great. Excellent. I could use a break, man. Thanks.
Tomorrow we'll be going on a view. So for that,
we're going on a view. It's the view. Do.
By busing. I'll have more instructions for you tomorrow morning. But please follow those instructions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Remember, tomorrow's a half day.
And tomorrow's a half day too, because they're doing a view in the afternoon. So tomorrow's a half day because they're doing the view. And okay, cool, great. Yeah, it was supposed to be a full day. It was supposed to be a full day, but apparently they didn't have the witnesses they were supposed to have. So the state fucked up. It was supposed to be a full day. The state fucked up, and now it's a half day. Yeah. ARCA's now on Monday. That got moved. ARCA's now on Monday. It was Friday, but now it's Monday. Got to pay attention to these things. Things are moving all the time, man.
All right. Mr. Brennan, have you had an opportunity to think about whether experts should be permitted to either be present or watch the proceeding? And I also want to know, are you expecting to put on any expert testimony tomorrow?
Dr. Fowler will testify tomorrow. I think that should be considered expert testimony. He provides the procedures and protocol for the testing of blood serum.
Okay.
So I think he's technically considered an expert, although one of the briefer ones.
All right. Does the defense want an expert to be able to watch that?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So I know we've had a lot going on this morning. Do you want to address this tomorrow? When do you want to address whether experts should be present?
I can address it tomorrow morning. I can consider.
All right. We'll do that. And have you talked about who you all mean? Like, do you all know who you want to have exempt from the sequestration order?
We haven't got to that detail. I'm sure they have in mind who they want. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All right.
We can have that discussion and so that we can present it tomorrow.
Somebody talk to somebody, and then let me know what you guys talked about.
And then I know you said that you've got an agreement that you'll provide witnesses or a list of witnesses in advance to defense counsel, and I'm sure you'll provide witnesses in advance to Mr. Brennan. Include me on that, please. I'd just like to know who's coming up the next day because I have to prepare as well.
Happy to. Thank you.
Okay? All right. So we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you again.
All right.
All right, I guess we're done for the day. Exciting. I get a break. I'm very happy. I get a break from this for the day. It's not for at least the reasons that I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because I had this whole basically crisis. I had an editing crisis yesterday. And fortunately, Matt Marmad bailed me out. But I was not in a good state last night. Normally, anxiety is not my problem. I don't take things for anxiety because anxiety is not normally my issue. But I had an anxiety thing yesterday, and it was not fun. And then I didn't sleep, and I'm still kind of coming down from it from yesterday, to be honest. Probably it's too much honesty, but whatever. That's where we're at. We can watch Lamp for a while. Yeah, anxiety can suck. It's not normally a problem, but it was definitely a problem last night. Yeah, let's not talk about it anymore. All right, how do I delegate an account? Members I've delegated. Invite a member. Okay. So I need to, all right, how do I do this? Yes. Okay, I think this works. All right. Yes. Okay, contributor. Yes. All right, cool. No, I can't, really? I can't add you? Why not? Okay, cool. All right. So now I've added Rose as a member to my Twitter so she can tweet for me.
I gotcha.
Exciting. We're going to watch whatever's going on outside the courtroom for a while. Got some crime scene tape. Crime scene is nice for the crime scening. Got ourselves a little walking out of the courthouse action. Courthouse action's fun. I gotta say, it's a nice looking courthouse. You know, you got to give them credit. I like the old school courthouses. You know, I like that old school look. Respect, you know. They're built like cathedrals. That's the way it should be, man. I like how they literally chiseled courthouse into the stone above the door. They needed the clarification. What building is this? What building could this be? I don't know. Let's literally chisel the words courthouse above the entrance. That's funny. I don't know if they can replace the glass or something. It might be a historic building or something, but if they could replace the glass with a more soundproof glass, that would be nice. That's the only thing they need to do is change the glass. I don't know if they can do that for historic reasons, but yeah, whatever. Need to take my YouTube money and build a Kurt house. That's pretty funny. Yeah, maybe. The sun is shining. That's nice too. Sun is out and shining, man. Thank God. Ooh, sun is bright. Don't look directly at the bright thing. It hurts the eyes. I wasn't looking directly at the sun. I was looking at my patio, and still my eyes are like, oh, that's too sharp. Would you like to build a courthouse? Would you like to make it grand? Would you like to put the name over the entranceway so people know where they're at? Would you like to build a courthouse? You won't play with me and I don't know why. Would you like to build a courthouse? It doesn't have to be a courthouse. Okay, goodbye. That song is sad. That song is sad. That's a very sad song. Damn it. Now I'm going to cry. Shit. That was a mistake. Is it wrong to cry over the Frozen song? Is that manly asking for a friend? As I was also saying earlier, by the way, as I was sort of saying when the court was still in session, I do have to give the prosecutor credit for the way they've interlaced the videos of Karen. I think it's very tactically smart. I think it's incredibly, incredibly smart. Like basically try to just follow every witness with a Karen Read video. If you can do that, that's awesome. Rather than clumping them all together, I think dispersing them throughout is much more impactful. So I like that tactically. I think that's very, very smart. Just bring the videos and basically at the end of every witness, you bring in a Karen Read video. At the end of every witness, you bring in a Karen Read video. You know, and you basically intersperse them so that the videos have more resonating power. I think that that's a very smart idea. I think Brendan is a very good prosecutor. I am learning things from him, to be honest. He's also very good on direct as a general proposition. By just letting the witnesses be the star. And to the extent he needs to redirect them, he's very good. Like the witnesses will sometimes go a little off, and it'll just be like, okay, let's move back to something else. He's very good at, you know, keeping things on pace and also getting the witness to where they need them to be in the right order. So that was really good. And if we could see more like that one cross we saw from the defense, where it was also very judo and not so much fighty and not so much antagonist, that was preferable. So more of that kind of cross, please. That'd be great. Again, you might have to get to fighty. You might have to get it, but you don't want to start off that way. Let the witness be the ass. You don't want to be the ass. Let them be the ass. You know? So, yeah. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to us on Twitter, now would be a decent time. We'd love to have you over on our Twitter. Give you the link in chat. It's a good way to find out what videos we're doing and stuff like that. So make sure to hit the subscribe button over there. Fox and Hound will always be friends forever. Damn, that hit me right in the feels. The old Harris County Courthouse in downtown Houston. Yeah. I want to have my court. I want to have my court in the old building. If I get a choice, I want to have it in the older building. We'll make it work. Yeah. So this afternoon, we could do one of two things, hypothetically. We could either do oral arguments in the Supreme Court relating to the LGBTQ book reading stuff, assuming a transcript is available. It might not be available yet. And we could also do the end of the Necrocata saga, which I'm somewhat tempted to do just so I can finally put it to end and finally put to end. So yeah, let's see if there's even transcript available at OYA for the oral argument yet. It might not be available because it just happened like yesterday or the day before. Let's see. What was yesterday? Wait a second. Wasn't it just argued like yesterday? I'm confused. It's not even on. What's the name of the case? Name is called. Just give me the name of the case. Mahmoud versus Taylor. Okay. And I'm going to sort this by name so I can find it. Mahmoud versus Taylor. Yeah, they don't have transcripts yet, so we can't do that yet. They barely acknowledge it happened. There she is. There's the Karen Reed we know. There she is. I'll do Nick Ricada this afternoon so I can put it to bed and stop talking about it. I think if Nick's biggest fans were triggered by the Denny's stream, probably. Yeah. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. I'm just going to go ahead and just start a stream and just do it now. I've got the energy, and then I can take a nice lunch break and go outside and run around in the snow. Well, not in the snow. What's the opposite of snow? The sun. That's another S word. Snow and sun and snow both begin with S. It confuses me. Go running around the sun for a while. If it were snowing in Texas right now, that would be notable. It is not. It is 79 degrees. All right, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this stream and just start another stream, so we can do the Nick Ricada thing. I'm just going to end it. There's nothing left going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream for now, and then I'm just going to start another stream and do Nick Ricada. Let me just go ahead and create that in YouTube. I'll just go ahead and create it. The at. All right. Create the stream. Come on. Come on. All right, guys. See you in about 60 seconds. Love you guys. See you. Bye.